musical therapy or whatever like the actual term is for it is really good because I think that's why I loved music and why I still do. But like, I liked it so much growing up because it was like the one thing that was
Hmm.
constant for me. And then when I got to middle school, I feel like that's where I really had like actual real friendships. So then I was like, damn, like we're never going to see each other again, probably. And that's when it really hit me that I was like, wow, it's kind of sad that you have to leave and pack up and just basically forget about everything behind you.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry for the people who are listening right now because I know this podcast is like in certain ways all over the place. But welcome to our friendship. Like you, you
I thought this was not live. No?
no, it's not live. But
Okay.
I mean,
Listen.
I am gonna cut out certain parts, but
Oh, yeah.
like let's be honest. We've been all over the place this entire time.
These episodes are intended for mature audiences. Viewer and listener discretion advised.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode on the Stories of a Dandelion podcast. Today I interview my best friend Raquel. We talk about how with every move a military brat has to do, it can become so much easier to become detached to the people that you are around for the time being in each place. It's a really good conversation about how detachment can soon become a part of our life and become a lot easier as we continue through different transitions throughout our life. So tune in to get a couple of tips about how you can stay connected, as well as how important it is, again, to have a support system. So make sure you have your coffee or your tea. If you're in the car, turn it up a little bit. Let's get into today's episode, and I hope you all enjoy. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stories of a Dandelion. Today we are talking to my best friend, Raquel. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Gina. I appreciate you having me on the podcast today. It's nice to be on here and see all your lovely channel folks.
And share your story.
And share my story about, still in the process of figuring that out.
I think we all are still in the process of figuring out mental health. All right, here's my first question for you. If you're 18 in 2023 and you're graduating, what advice would you give yourself?
Honestly, I would just say to take every opportunity that comes your way, because there were a lot of things when I was in high school that I turned down because I was uncertain of it. And I feel like some of those chances and opportunities could have led me on a different path. Not necessarily, it might not have been the best path, but it probably could have got me somewhere that I didn't have to worry about today. And just to not worry so much, even though I know it's hard to do that with everything going on in the world and you don't know what you're going to do after high school and with everything being so expensive, but just to be happy and to live your life.
Why were you so worried in high school? We were just high school kids having fun. So what worried you about the opportunities?
Well, I really didn't know what I was going to do. I figured I was going to go to school, but I didn't know where. I didn't really have a home base in America. So people were like, oh, I'm just going to go back to this state. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about any of them. Mm-hmm. And then just the culture shock, too, of being back in America where everybody knows what you're saying compared to you being the only person who knows what you're saying. There's just so many things that they don't tell you to in high school until you're already out in the world. So for me, as a very anxious person, I was just always thinking about, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to make money? Where am I going to live? And everybody knows, well, not everybody, but I basically went to Shape High University.
Yes. Okay. All right. So before we get any further, What is it called? Dubuque University?
The University of Dubuque.
University of Dubuque, right. Okay, so every year at Shape, we would have a college come, and it would be University of Dubuque, and they would sell it. Come to Dubuque. We give you all the scholarships. Yada, yada, yada. You can do so much. And a lot of people from Shape went because it was cheaper, and they did give apparently a lot of scholarships. And so it became known as Shape University because once you went, everybody that you knew from Shape were in the same place. And a lot of people tried to avoid it. Sometimes you can't because college is literally a debt in an endless hole, and you don't want to have as much debt, so you go to Dubuque and you get your degree. How was that? How was Shape University?
It actually was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's actually, I feel like it kind of made my transition a little bit easier because it was still a real university. You still had the college parties, the whole college experience, but the classes were smaller. So you honestly, your teacher would know you. It wouldn't be like, oh, you're one out of like 300 students I have in one like sitting. And then it was cool meeting, other dads' kids too, so especially because some of them, I recognized them from sports. And I was like, whoa, it's crazy because, when I was in high school, I hated you. And now that I know you, it's like, you're actually a pretty cool person. And then you just meet different people, which is always cool. I always like to be somewhere where it's really diverse. They probably had like one of the most diverse classes in enrollment for sure. And other than the fact that, yeah, it was kind of easy in a way, and the scholarships that they give you are decent, but they're nothing like out of the water. You get like a couple extra thousand, and a private university is what, like $30,000 a year?
40. Trust, I know.
Yeah, see, exactly. So, and, at least I am grateful to be able to get my college education.
Yeah.
But I still remember the day when, they did come to Shape. It was homecoming weekend. We had just lost because, volleyball team wasn't all that great.
Well, hold on, time out. We were great, but we couldn't beat the team. That's what happened. There we go.
Yeah, you're right. We were good. We actually had some great volleyball players. We just had
some dickheads on the team.
Yeah, and a lot of young-minded people, So they just wanted to have fun, which is whatever. But I remember losing, and then my parents were like, oh, these people want to talk to you. And I was like, well, I really want to get to the football game. And we just lost. I want to go make it to the football game. They're like, all right, we'll just talk to these people for a couple minutes. And the guy, actually, he's still there at UD. I don't think he still does recruiting anymore. But Bob Roche, this was freaking awesome. The other lady, Ashley, I don't know how to say her last name. But they were just super cool. Like you said, they sold it. I really was set on not going there at all. I actually hadn't even applied.
That's true. I remember
and, I didn't apply until like the last week you'd apply. And they were like the first acceptance letters that I got. And I was like, well, damn. I really did not want to tell my parents that I got in. Because I knew that they were going to be like, all right, this is where you're going. And I was like, well, I'm the one going to college, so it should be my choice, right? No. Of course not. Not until after you get done with college can you make your own decisions, I guess. But honestly, I probably wouldn't change a thing about going there. I still got my degree. I met some wonderful people, I especially met my boyfriend now, so that's even better. Because honestly, once I was done with school, I was set that I was going to get out of Iowa and I was never going to go back. And so not that bad. But if, again, this is one of those things where if I was a dad's kid and I got, accepted to Alabama or like USC or somewhere great, I wouldn't be afraid to jump and take that chance because those are once in a lifetime opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when I got accepted to like UNC Pembroke, great night, by the way, fun night. But when I got there, it just felt like too big for me. And not even just like too big for me. I just didn't know people that I could connect with. So smart move, University of Dubuque, because I ended up leaving and going to Methodist at the end of the day to play basketball, in which I was unsuccessful in. So it just all depends on how like your route goes. But I wouldn't change it for the world either. Like now looking back at it, everything I went through to get to Methodist, I would have went through it again. So
That's good.
yeah.
Honestly.
Okay, so let's go back. Before college, before high school, before middle school. Let's go to like 5-year-old Raquel, if you can remember. And tell me your life from the beginning until now. How you became Raquel.
Honestly, I've always been a very interesting person.
Have you?
People, yeah, you're still around.
That's true.
I don't know. I've always just been like, for the longest time, I was always very loud and talkative, and I always wanted to be not the center of attention, but like I just wanted people to like notice me. So honestly, I don't even remember this, but my family tells the story all the time about how I ran away when I was younger and we lived on base.
Okay.
And yeah, I ran away, but it was really like down the street and I was at a Burger King. So, those are like safe places. And they found me at Burger King eating ketchup with a random family. And they were giving me fries. And that was the first time I think that was the second time I ran away. The first time I ran away, I couldn't even tell you. I guess I was just outside walking. And then like the Japanese police found me in some like shopping mall. And my mom called and she was freaking out. And they're like, "No, ma'am, I'm sorry. We only have a little boy here." And she was like, "No." She's like, "Check the damn diaper." And it was me. Because, all of us Asians usually get the little bowl cut, Well, I guess that's what I look like.
Wow.
But no, man.
First of all,
I used to love to sing, too.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see that. But you always sung.
Yeah,
you never sung when you were sober. You always sung when you got drunk. Like, everything came out. Drunk, you danced and you sang.
Yeah, it's still the same. Not so much the singing, but the dancing.
Okay, so after you ran away, keep going.
After you ran away. Well, yeah, that's where the singing comes into play. I used to love to sing. We used to go to the Rocker NCO club at Kadena, which is in Japan. And like, I guess one day I walked off and I went to whoever was playing the piano that day for brunch. And I was just there singing, basically, like in front of everybody. And nowadays, like you said, you couldn't even get me drunk enough to sing in front of just you. I just be like, "Nah, I'm okay." But like, that's the crazy part, because I used to just be so out there when I was younger. And then something shifted as I got older, like going into middle school, where I just wasn't putting myself out there anymore. And I couldn't even tell you what it was that happened, but I just kind of like started to close myself off more a little bit.
How many moves had you been through by the time you were in middle school?
By the time I was in middle school, I had already moved for... We went over this.
We really did right before we started.
I moved 4 times by the time I was in middle school. And it wasn't, I don't know. I feel like it didn't really hit me, the moves, until after middle school, because I just thought that's what, we did. Like, okay, the summer's over. My dad's got a new job. We're going somewhere else. So it was kind of easy for me to be like, okay, bye. It was so nice to see you guys, but see you never. Like, I don't know. I just never even thought about it. And then when I got to middle school, I feel like that's where I really had like actual real friendships. So then I was like, damn, like we're never going to see each other again, probably. And that's when it really hit me that I was like, wow, it's kind of sad that you have to leave and pack up and just basically forget about everything behind you.
So,
and it was also raining when we got to Belgium. So it was just like a movie scene. Like you touch down and it's just like, it matches my mood. I've been crying all day and now the earth is crying with me.
You're stupid. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. So you moved to Belgium and you go to Brussels first.
Yep, I do. It was like what? I think like what? Maybe 200 kids in the entire school?
Yeah.
K through 12?
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know, maybe 30 people in my class. I'm not even sure.
It had to be more.
Yeah.
We had 70 people in our graduating class. It had to be at least more than like 30 people in your class. Because I remember my middle school class, and it was a good amount of people, middle schoolers.
Maybe it was like 20.
Dude, you
There really wasn't a lot of us. I know, but there wasn't a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, Brussels. I don't know. I don't remember much about like when we played them. Like I don't.
Well, what I remember is literally everybody who was in your grade was in your class. That's how small Brussels was.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was no such thing as like, if I would have went there and we had like block schedule, I still would have had the same classes with like everybody because that's how small it is. It's like, okay, see you next period. But
So dude, that must have made it easier to make friends though, because I mean, like after 4 moves, you're kind of closing yourself off in a way because you're finally making real connections, and now like you're in this new place. You don't know how long you're going to be there, but you know everybody in your class, so it could have made it easier, or did it make it harder to like not want to make friends?
I feel like I've always had a pretty easy time with making friends because that was the one thing that was consistent. Every time I went somewhere new, I would always like meet that one person who would basically be like the chain link to meet like everybody else. In Brussels, it was a little bit easier because, well, you know, my dad being obviously in the retired army, whatever, a lot of the people he worked with had kids who were our age. So it was basically like, oh, this is so-and-so's kid. This is who you're going to school with. And I was like, okay. Actually, the first person I met in Belgium was Austin in like this little place. It was called like the Event Center on Brussels. He was playing Guitar Hero. And he was like, yeah, I can beat you in Guitar Hero. But there was only one guitar. I was like, how are we supposed to compete? Like, I'm confused. But so it wasn't too bad. It was weird though, because since it was such a small school and a lot of the people had been there for so long, like some of the people's kids like went to school there and they were the teachers. It would be kind of weird because you could just tell that some people are like a little biased about stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then like, yeah, some of the coaches even like would be cool with the teachers too. And you could see that too. Like it was just kind of different. Or if like you didn't like one person, then now like other people are like, oh, well, we don't like you either, which I never really understood because I don't know. I have to judge you how you are with me, unless obviously you do something really horrible. Then of course I can just kind of have an idea of what type of person you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Other than it being really small and everybody knowing each other, it wasn't horrible. I definitely liked living in like the suburbs. It's easy to get around places. Downtown Brussels is awesome, obviously. You can go party all the time. And I don't know. I think that's why when I moved to Shape, it was so different because, Shape's out in the freaking country. There's horrible public transportation. And I mean, the school was bigger, so that was kind of cool, obviously, with the different sections and everything. But I was just mad because I was like, why the hell are we moving 45 minutes away? Like, this is a waste of a move.
No, you had to come meet me, dude.
Yeah, of course.
No.
I had to come meet you and had to actually experience like high school sports the right way, not just, oh, well, there's only 10 of you anyways where it's semi-decent, so you're automatically on the team.
Oh my goodness. No, okay, so Brussels. How did Brussels compare to Japan though? Like, what was like the school difference, the culture difference? Like, how was that adjustment?
It was definitely hard because the base, again, it's just like a smaller community, like military wise in Brussels. Mm-hmm. Japan, Okinawa had like I think one of the largest Air Force bases ever. Mm-hmm. So you compare that to literally the base in Brussels was maybe as big as a cul-de-sac block. That was it. Like, that's nothing. Wow. You could literally walk to the other side of it in 2 minutes.
That's crazy. I don't know why. Yeah. I always thought Brussels was bigger than that, and so that's crazy.
It's literally, they call it the annex because the base there is like that small. It's not even a real base. Yeah, like the actual big base that people would go to would be Chefs, and that's not big either.
Yeah.
So, but the culture is definitely different. Like the whole atmosphere in Japan was. Like all the Okinawans are super friendly. The food is great. It's also an island out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So the weather's amazing. 90% of the year, you're always at the beach. And then to come to Belgium where they say they have a beach and they do, but it's all the way far away. Yeah. You have to get it on a nice day. Otherwise it's like, what the fuck am I doing here? But they both had like their ups and downs. I was really sad when I left Japan because all my older siblings had graduated from the same high school. So me and my sister wanted to graduate from there too. Mm-hmm. And like, we just loved it so much. And going to Belgium, like now I always tell people that I'm from both places. Mm-hmm. I never just say I'm from Japan anymore. I'm always like, no, I honestly consider Okinawa and Belgium both to be my hometowns because I spent so much of my time there. And that's really the two places that molded me into who I am today. But if I had to choose between the two, that would be hard because, again, they both have their perks. Mm-hmm. But I would probably say Belgium just because it's so much easier to like get around and do more things over there.
Yeah.
Whereas you're kind of isolated in Japan. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So got to Brussels. So Japan to Brussels. Now we're at Shape. You moved to Shape. Gotta be honest with you.
Shape.
You weren't the nicest person when you got to Shape.
That was mean.
No, you were mean. You definitely weren't talking to anybody. Like, you talked to two people, Kiki and Ashley.
Yeah, I remember that. And a lot of people are like, why are these only two people you talk to?
I was too. Because we had a health class. We basically had a lot of classes together. And I remember the first class and Vincent was like, oh yeah, it's Raquel. And I was like, well, I don't like, she doesn't talk to anybody. So like, I have no idea who this person is.
Yeah.
So
no.
Why did you only talk to two people when you first got the Shape?
Well, like I said, I was so mad that we had to move. like 45 minutes away. I did actually, still dating my ex at the time too. So that kind of like, I don't know, I was a high school kid who just wanted to be at the same place as their boyfriend at the time, which is stupid because you never really, it's hard for people to actually make it out of high school with their high school boyfriends. So that was just kind of
the
like
girl who has a sister who's married to her high school boyfriend.
Yeah, but that wasn't her only high school boyfriend. But let me not air her business out there. It's okay. Good thing I have multiple sisters. Even though everybody who sees this will know which one it is.
Exactly. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah. But I don't know. I was just so mad. And then I was honestly just so at the point where I was like, you know what? I'm literally just going to finish high school and get out of here. And of course that didn't happen because people are very friendly at Shape. That was the first thing I noticed, which kind of made me want to close off even more. But you can't even eat lunch by yourself without somebody wanting to come sit next to you. And it's like, dude, I'm not a loner. I just don't want to sit with anybody.
She's talking about me.
Yeah, of course. You, man, I couldn't even remember. There was definitely somebody else who came up to me one day, and I was just like, why are you trying to talk to me? It's like, no.
Oh, man. Okay. So, for people who don't know, Raquel, yeah, she was a loner when she first got to Shape. And I decided one day when I saw her sitting alone at lunch to sit with her. And exact words, she said, I don't want you to sit with me. And I looked at her and I was like, okay, don't care. We're going to sit here anyway. And we sit there, have lunch. She says absolutely nothing. Me, Caitlin, and Lonnie have a whole conversation around her. She gets up, she leaves. and I was like, okay. Next day, we're all going to the Carrefour, which is a, for people who don't know, it's a grocery store that's on Shape. She's walking in front of us. I start yelling at her. Said, hey, why are you following us? She goes, I'm not following you. You're following me. I was like, yeah, it can look like you're following us. And she was like, I'm not following you. She was getting really mad at me. She did not want to be my friend. But I asked her, I said, but you might as well hang out with us. We're all going to the same place. She gave in and she became a part of our group ever since.
Yeah. Ever since high school.
Yeah.
After that, I don't know. I think that's my problem too. Like, I just get so used to the whole detachment thing that, like, most of the times when I leave somewhere, I'm just like, all right, I wish you the best. And that's kind of it. I don't do it on purpose, but I also know that everybody has their own lives. And I don't feel like for me to be a good friend or for us to have to be friends, not even a good friend, that I have to talk to you every day or like once a week. Like, I feel like as long as we check in every now and again, we know that we're good, or that you can hit me up or something, then that's good enough for me.
Yeah, she's the worst at keeping in touch, guys. Absolute worst.
I am.
Like, nothing.
But it doesn't mean I don't care.
She does care. It's very true. I just have to text her and be like, hey, are you still alive? Because, like, I haven't heard from you in, like, 5 months. Just wanted to check. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm good.
Just
I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
So, you just detach, bro. But 6 months. I mean, not 6 months. 6 moves. And so what? Do you slowly become detached with every move? Or are you just, like, was it the final move that decided, you know what? Not making friends. I don't really care anymore. Or did it, like, just, like, moving make it easier to detach because you're just used to it as a military brat?
I feel like moving made it easier to detach. I don't even think I was actually doing it, like, consciously. I think it was just kind of happening. It was like, for the most part, on the last day of school, if you rode the bus home, like the teachers at Brussels, they would all used to line up outside of the building and they would wave at the buses on the last day of school. And a lot of people would be like really torn up about it. And here I am, like happy as hell that it's summer and that I'm never going to see any of you guys again. Like, I didn't think it was anything malicious, but at the same time, I was kind of fucked up in a way because it's like, dang, do you even care? And I do, but I don't know. I feel like it also made things easier because, like I said, like as I started to cut myself off and like block myself from certain things, like it just made it easier for me to go to the next place.
Yeah.
Because now, like, I don't have to be sad that I'm, leaving. It's just like, all right, well, this is what it is. Pack up and go.
Yeah. Yeah, I call them friendship contracts because you become friends with, like, especially in elementary school, because for us, we didn't have any internet or like Facebook or any of that. Like, we were just kids who became friends with other kids. And if they were there for a year, then they were there for a year and you became friends. And then you just, when they left and you became friends with the next person that came into your life. And so it's like friendship contracts. Like, all right, we agree to be friends for as long as we can see each other. And as soon as we can't see each other, there's no friendship. And I think that has a lot to do with, like, there's no way for us to stay in contact with one another. Like, nobody's doing snail mail. We're all in elementary school, can barely spell and don't have the attention span to write. And then, like, the only way I stayed in touch, like, one of my longest friends, we've been friends since elementary school, but it's only because our parents are still friends. Like, if our parents weren't still friends, I wouldn't be friends with her at all. And so I think it's just one of those things that as we got older, the internet became what it is now, which is absolutely insane to say that we went from not having any internet in elementary school to, like, learning to type on computers where internet was coming out, and then all of a sudden have internet on our phone and being able to connect with one another through the phone, like, just within, like, what, an 18-year span of our life. So
yeah,
it's really weird to go from being so used to just being detached to the point where, like, now you can be, like, have access to everybody at any time of the day, but you have no idea how to be in touch with them because your whole life you grew up, like, being like, oh, I'm a military brat. I'm meant to move. You're meant to be there. Our friendship was meant to only last that long and then keep it moving. So it's really weird to, like, try to transition from that whole thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, there's some people where, like you said, I knew that we probably weren't going to keep in touch at all after we left. And then there's some people where I did keep in touch with them, but then eventually, the communication just went flat. And like you said, it's not that I don't care. That's just how it happened, sadly. And unfortunately, I have lost some really great people in my life early who fell in that category. And it sucked because these are some of the people who I probably could have tried to reach out to a little bit more. But at the same time, like, there's nothing really you can do about certain situations like that, but be thankful for the times that you did have and to be able to say that, that person was your friend and that you had these great memories with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird life that we live in, which, like, we're still trying to figure out how to live it, because we're a part of the 1% in the United States. And then, like, we're less than that because we grew up overseas. And so the military brats that do live here, most of them don't know our experience. So to connect, learn about people, and just be friends is like a freaking test that you don't know how to pass.
Right.
So, and they say as you get older, it's already hard enough to, like, make new friends and then put our experience on top of it. It's just impossible, it feels like.
No, yeah, exactly. Because, like you said, it's just hard to connect with certain people. And, like, sometimes I don't even think about it, but when people ask me who don't know me, like, oh, where are you from? And I tell them, like, they're so, like, oh my gosh, amazed. And I'm just like, this is like nothing to me.
Exactly.
You know, I'm like, oh, this is where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell them my dad was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured that they should know. And they're just like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. I'm like, yeah, it was pretty cool. But
just another day in life.
yeah, it's just another day. It's my life. So
I don't know. It's weird because like they'll ask you all these questions and then like you'll be like, oh, maybe I'm making a friend. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, they just wanted to know about my life. And then like left me.
yeah, they just dip off the face of the earth. Like, all right, thanks for the information. Bye.
Basically, yeah. Like, what would you suggest that I should do? And be like, oh, yeah, go do this. And it's like, all right, peace. It's like, oh, cool. Not hurt.
Yeah, no, it's okay. When I first got to the University of Dubuque, I'm just going to call it UD from now on because it's a long ass name. But when I first got to UD, like people honestly thought that me living in Europe was like, I don't know, a third world country or like somewhere that was like unknown of or something. Cause they were like, yeah, like, where did you live? And I was like, I lived in a box. Because I was like, the fuck, what do you mean, where did I live? And they would be like, did you guys have phones? And I'm like, I don't understand what you guys think Europe is. Like, it's literally just another continent in the world. Like, that's it. It's nothing like super, super out of there. And we had everything that you guys had except, you know, language barriers and then Euro.
Yeah.
But it was just super weird to be asked, did you guys have phones and where did you live? Like,
I mean, they could have been like PJ and thought that Belgium was in China, so.
Well, yeah, but it's still a place that you live in and thrive. Like, what the hell? Even people in China have phones, thankfully. Now we're going to get flagged on YouTube for this.
Probably.
Right.
Being mean. Look, I mean, it's all about like being smart and using your head. Like, obviously, yes, like we're in a different country, but like, it's not like we didn't have the similar experiences to you. Had them a little earlier, possibly.
Right.
But similar experiences.
Exactly. Yeah. And I always tell people the biggest thing that I feel like I really missed out on, two things, is obviously not growing up with childhood friends because you're always leaving. And like sports, if I wanted to be like this amazing athlete, we don't have club sports and AAU and stuff like that. You literally just have the sports that you have. Well, you did, but you know how many people, nobody really took the time to do stuff like that overseas usually. Yeah. Or you really had to be like good enough because the language barrier, again, unless you knew it, they're like, what the hell do you want?
I mean, it depends. Because I played club sports at 7. As long as you have like an English speaking coach or somebody that's good enough. But they didn't have volleyball or like soccer or clubs or stuff like that. Like from what I knew, I think they only had basketball clubs in Belgium. But
yeah, see,
yeah, but I get what you mean. I was always forced to come back to the States, and my mom was like, "You should do AAU," and I was like, "I ain't doing jack squat." Like I played basketball 10 months out of the year. I am done for 2 months.
Right.
So
I need a break.
For real. Felt like I was just everywhere. But, okay. So, shape, college, you graduated. What are you doing? Like, what's going on in my life?
My life, I'm back in school again. I'm getting my master's in psychology so I can make more money and also, you know, help out the mental health community because now that it's acceptable for you to not be okay, there's a lot of people coming out there who are realizing that, you know, they have actual problems and they're not just crazy or dealing with something by themselves. And then still working at the School of Medicine. So that's interesting.
I'm just surprised that you went into psychology. Not saying like, you know, you wouldn't be good at it, but like, I always thought like music or something would be the way you would go at the end of the day. I don't know why. I think it's because you loved it so much. And you did love music. but I just
No,
saw
I
you.
still love music.
I know you do. I don't know why, because I think like you always had the playlist that you would always put on my phone, which I was like, dude, put on your own phone, but whatever. You always would make the playlist. You like always knew what new songs were coming out, what was next. I just did. I saw you in music and like being a producer or something. So when you said psychology, I was like, oh, okay. Nice. So I just wanted to take a quick break to ask you guys to please go and follow Stories of a Dandelion on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, and Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. And also share this podcast on any platform and share it with your friends and family. I need your help to get the message out about how important it is to talk about mental health, especially within the military lifestyle. So please go ahead and follow us on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and at least share this video or share this podcast with one person in your life that you believe and know could make a difference for them. Thank you guys, and let's get back to the rest of the podcast.
Well, I've always just kind of had an interest in like the mind and how people react to things. And I've always been that person where like a random person on the street will literally just be next to me and start talking to me about like their entire life. And in my head, I'm thinking like, either you must have nobody to talk to, or you honestly feel some type of like energy coming off of me that you're like, hey, I'm going to talk to this person and let them know what's going on, because I feel like, you know, I'm like a safe space or whatever. And I just feel like there's just so much going on with like mental health and whatnot, even for myself, that it would be nice to know and have an idea of what we can't do moving forward, because we're talking about it now, which is great, but there's really not a whole lot that we're doing about it. And it's scary because some people are really being institutionalized. And obviously I've never been to either, so I don't have firsthand experience, but being institutionalized, I hear, is worse than being imprisoned, because you could literally be in there and not even actually be crazy. But if somebody deems you as crazy, then that's it. Like that's the rest of your life. And I don't think that's fair, because if people who go to prison, some of them have second chances, third, fourth, however many chances, then you should also have a chance to rehabilitate yourself. And it's just crazy, the mind, what it can do, and all the chemicals that come with it, and like everything that you can feel as a person, and you don't even realize that half these emotions are secondary emotions to what you're actually supposed to like feeling. But that's crazy that you said producer though. You never know. I could still be that. I could be a psychology.
Let's go.
Producer,
we do side hustles out here in these streets. Let's go.
Right. I can make music, and then, you know, after you're done with your little session, we could talk about what's going on in your life.
You could incorporate music into your, into your sessions.
Yeah. I think musical therapy, or whatever like the actual term is for it, is really good, because I think that's why I loved music and why I still do. But like, I liked it so much growing up because it was like the one thing that was constant for me. Like I could think of a song right now and just be like, this is a song that I know is going to take me back to a place when I was like genuinely happy and didn't have a care in the world, and everything will be better. Whereas there's a lot of things now that, you know, life's just constantly changing all the time. So you don't really have full control over everything. But with music, that same song that came out in 1999 is going to be the same song today if I play it, or 40 years from now when I play it.
So what you're saying is you want to change mental health with me. Sounds great.
Yes.
It sounds like you just want to team up. So let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. You know, ultimately the end goal is to create a nonprofit that can be like basically like the YMCA, but better in the sense where literally it's welcoming. They really don't have to worry about like a whole lot of like money. Because nowadays I feel like it's insane to have a membership at the Y, even though they say it's income based. But like there's really no like safe and like a nice atmosphere for people to just come and be themselves anymore. And I feel like that's part of why the world's going so crazy, because everybody just has like a loss of identity and there's so much going on and everybody's so stressed out and nobody knows how to deal with it. But people are just like, well, this is life, so you have to deal with it. It's like, okay, that's great, but how? Like, how am I supposed to deal with the fact that eggs are fucking like $2-3 for 12? Like, you know what I mean? It's just crazy. And again, we weren't prepared for any of this in school. They were just like, all right, you're going to have to pay for things and get a job. And that's going to be it. And I'm like, you fucking lied. Because this is not just it. Like, there's a lot more that goes to this, okay?
I think that's partly why I wanted to make this podcast, to like tell 18-year-olds and like young adults, like, it's not easy to transition into like adulthood. Like, it's the hardest thing that you're ever going to do in your life. So just to share stories about like our struggles and let them know, like, we made it through, so you will too. You gotta have that support and people around you that are going to help you in the community, that will talk you off the ledge when you're right on the ledge of like just wanting to just whatever it is, quit it all, end it all, whatever it may be. You have people to talk you down and like talk you through it instead of, you know, feeling like you're alone. But psychology.
Yeah.
So you want to start a nonprofit. I do have a couple nonprofits that I've been like reaching out to and talking to. One of them being like To Write Love on Her Arm, the Headstrong Project, and stuff like that. So you like, is yours specifically going to be like a gym, or is it just going to be a place where like you can do different things and just kind of be yourself in that place?
It's basically going to be like a community center, like with everything rolled in one. So there's going to be a section where, you know, there will be a gym, because that's how some people de-stress and that's what they like. There's going to be a place, you know, where you can swim, you know, a court for basketball, volleyball. There's going to be like some field stuff outside, and then even like a musical room. Basically just like one area where like, you know, that you can go there and nobody's really going to judge you, and like you can do whatever you need it is. And even there's going to be like a space where you can do counseling, you know, or do like group therapy sessions, and it'll either be like super discounted or I wouldn't, you know, if you get Medicaid, I would want to be one of those people who accept it and you could come for free, because I feel like that's also half the battle with like psychology, is that it's expensive. And people are like, oh yeah, they're like, you're gonna make so much money. And I'm like, yeah, it's obviously nice. The goal is to make money while without actually having to work. But I also don't want to do that, because then I'm no better than the people that I used to talk shit about growing up.
You have a generous heart.
You know, like, exactly. Because I'm all about, you know, what you give out to the world, it will come back to you eventually. And I don't even care for all that either. I know that people deserve this, and if I can give it to them, then why not?
Okay. Well, it looks and sounds like you got a path for yourself, and you're ready to tackle it on. So are we saying like within the next 3 years I can start sending, you know, people towards you, or like do I have to wait a little bit longer?
You know, I just started classes, okay?
You're a fast learner.
Let's not get there too fast. Yeah, but I'm not trying to get sued, okay? They're like, this bitch don't know what she's talking about. She said I was crazy, and I was like, I already knew that, but you're supposed to tell me something else and not use that word. I'm supposed to, at the rate I'm going right now, I'll have my degree by 2025, spring of 2025. So that'll be nice. And then I think I'll still have to get some type of licensure and whatnot. The nonprofit, on the other hand, I would at least like to get it started in the sense where I actually have like the LLC and all that stuff sorted out. But I see that more of like something that I have established like my late 30s, early 40s, because I still want to do something more based on my career field, and then also do like get some more experience in other jobs that are related to it to see like what exactly I want to do with it or what I want to focus on more. Because you talk about mental health, but that's a lot. So I'm just trying to zero in on like certain things. I really want to do more so with like, youth and like young adults, because I feel like that's the population that struggles the most. Like people don't talk about it, but your 20s are probably the hardest years of your life, because that is the but yeah, our 20s are like the hardest time of our life, because it's the real transition from being a kid and really being worry free, not having to have real any responsibilities, to now, okay, you're on your own. And I was thankful enough to have like, a good support system, family and friends, but a lot of people, they don't have that. And if it was hard for me, I can only imagine how hard it was for everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's hard time. And it's like everybody continues to tell you like, oh, the 20s are when you're supposed to have fun and like just party and whatever. But honestly, like if I could give advice, it'd be like, that's fun and all, and you can go that route, but it's so not worth it, because you're just lost for a longer period of time, like not knowing who you are, having to like figure out who you are now in the real world, when there's like, you have a job, you have to pay for bills and all these different things, and you partied all throughout or college trying to figure out, or just partying and not trying to figure out who you are, and then you get out and it's like, oh, this is real life. I actually have to work now and do all these different things. And you realize that maybe if I took a year or maybe even like 2 to just like figure it out, settle down, actually maybe go to a class or 2 or stay awake in a class. I don't know. I've done it before.
I've done it before.
It's unfortunate, but it's very true, and you figure out like what direction you may want to go in when it comes to life, who you want to be with in the future. I'm not saying you have to have everything established, but just like a small idea of like where you want to go, because it makes a huge difference once you get out of college. Because I got out of college and I was like, okay, here we are. What am I going to do? And I ended up going to get my master's in business and like working at a before and after care place. And it took until I was like 26 to get an actual 9-to-5 job. And now that I have one, I'm just like, this sucks. There's so much more to life and there's so much more to give. And when you know what you want to give and what your purpose is earlier, it makes life so much better.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because that would definitely be another piece of my advice, would be, if you enjoy school, to honestly like enjoy it and to sit there and be present and take everything in, because once you're done with college or even high school, like that's it. I'm not even trying to be like, negative about it, but it's the truth. After that, if you aren't planning to go back to school, then that's when the world really hits you and you're like, damn, what am I going to do? And you don't have to know right then and there, but like you said, it makes it easier if you have an idea. But if you haven't been thinking about it, because, you've just been partying or doing all this extra stuff and thinking like, you're going to be young forever, Like,
Yeah.
that's when it's like, wow, like, I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. And it kind of sucks, you know? It doesn't feel great, but that shouldn't also stop you from trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. Yeah. It's no joke in these streets. And like people, once you get out in life, they're just like looking at you like you're like, oh, you don't know what to do? Oh, you'll figure it out. Like, it doesn't seem like we're in a world where people want to give a helping hand. And so the more people you can find around you that will give you a helping hand, keep them close and be their champion just as much as they're being your champion, because those people are super important, because there's going to be plenty of people out here in this world talking about, oh nah, I got you, and then like step over you or step on you to get to where they want to be. So just got to be smart when you get out here in the world, but don't take it too seriously, because I believe I've been taking life way too seriously lately. But life is life. You're going to go through ups and downs. There's so many things that are going to be out of your control. The only thing you can do is focus on the things you can control. And when the things out of your control change, you gotta ebb and flow with them. Not saying it's going to be easy, but when you're prepared for it and you know it's going to come eventually at some time, then it's not going to be as hard.
right. Yeah, I agree. Especially because there's just so much going on in life in general. And I mean, I just think it's unfair for us in our 20s to have to know what we're going to do for the rest of our life, or to even have an idea.
Definitely.
Especially because we're the generation where we actually know what we want. So we're not going to work a shitty ass job just because we think that we have to. And, you know, all kudos to our parents and the older generation, everybody like that, because, yeah, y'all did what you needed to do. But at the end of the day, like, this isn't that time anymore. Like, we know our value and our worth, and we're not going to sit there and just settle for a job because, well, I've been doing it for like 20 years. I don't give a damn. I will find a new job tomorrow to work at Chuck E. Cheese. Like, obviously,
yes, bring back that pizza.
Exactly. You know, if that's something I had to do, then that's what I would do. But hopefully, it never got to that point. Obviously.
Yeah. I think our parents built a foundation that was like super important. You know, being in the military, I know. It like wasn't like what people think is like people's parents like or our parents grew up like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stay and go in the military and all that. Like, no, that was not any of our parents' plans. Like, it was like, oh, this is the option that we had. For them, the military turned out to be the best option for them, and it honestly, for like 20 years or so, or whatever, was good for them, and they all enjoyed it. Military now is not the same military as it was back then, though. It's completely different. I don't want to call it a piece, but it's like a completely different organization, but not organization either. What do you call it? It's just a completely different thing than what it was when our parents were in. And so us as military brats, we're just trying to figure out our life outside of the military lifestyle, outside of the military structure. And sometimes we fail, sometimes we succeed. But I think the biggest problem for us right now is that we don't have a foundation of people that we can go to and talk to, because graduate high school and like we all go our separate ways, and none of us really talk to each other, don't really tell each other what we're going through because of the detachment thing. Like, it's like, yes, we're homies, we're still like, you're my best friend, but I never told you what was going on in college, mostly because I didn't want to burden anybody else with my problems. So I would just go through it by myself. And I think that's what a lot of military brats are doing nowadays, just kind of going through it because we think that we're meant to be these strong military brats because that's how we were raised to be. But it's not necessarily true.
Right. No, that's definitely the truth because, like you said, a lot of us don't really, I mean, that goes for a lot of people, but nobody really talks about things more. So again, some people really feel like what they're dealing with is just them until they talk to somebody else or somebody talks to them and they're like, wow, like you literally are going through the same thing that I am right now, but we never would have known. We don't talk to each other about it because there's like this stigma still that like, oh, like you said, if you talk to somebody about it, then you're burdening, or like you're being negative because you're complaining about your life. And it's like, no, I'm literally just telling you what's going on in my life right now. Just my chest. Like, I'm not trying to look for any real advice. I'm not even trying to look for like a pity party or whatever. Like, sometimes people just need to get it off and they don't have that opportunity because they just feel like they don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first summer that we all like came back from college and like we all sat there at I think it was like graduation night for the next year, and like we all sat there and was like, man, this whole year sucked. And then like we looked at each other like, wait, your year sucked, your year sucked, your year sucked. And it was like the realization of that, like we all hated college in that moment. And like that, like it was not an easy transition, and that the fact that we were all going through it at the same time was like insane. But it just made us feel kind of more closer and connected to know that we weren't going through that crazy unknown transition alone. So I think it was good that our parents were still in Belgium for like for me, the first 2 years of college, because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't come back and like see you guys and like see my mom and kind of feel like I had like a quote unquote home base. Like don't even want to imagine that. It would have been horrible.
Yeah. No, and those are like the best summers I had. That's why it was so sad that last summer. You know, hopefully I still get to go back again. I feel like I definitely will. But I kind of just had that feeling that like, wow, this is it, because, you know, I knew that they were going to take away my freaking dependent status. They were like, oh, when do you graduate college? And I wanted to know. No, so they could put that shit on my ID. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Like, I could have went to school again. Y'all don't know that. Could have still been a little dependent.
Hey, that's what I did till I was 26. What the hell?
Yeah. Oh my god. Interview with all the different things that have happened. Oh, the thing cut like 7 times. Draft finally. Oh my goodness.
We'll have some bloopers at the end.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you got all of this, so that's the best part.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, so I don't know. It was definitely nice to be able to go back somewhere and to just get away. Because, man, sometimes that was the only thing I was looking forward to some of those semesters. I was like, all right, just a couple like more finals and a couple more days, and you'll be in Europe for like 3 weeks, maybe even like a month, you know, if it was the summer.
Yeah.
And that's all I needed, because my college experience was overall pretty good, but a lot of stuff happened in college that were like life-changing.
Well, we went to college. So now that you're doing psychology, what do you think we need to do for the kids now so that they can have better mental health when they get to our age?
Teach them to just talk about their feelings, or at least even try to talk about their feelings and what they're going through. And, you know, teaching them to be kind to people, because I feel like now, like the kids nowadays, not all of them, of course, but a lot of them are just really like jerks. Because it's sad how many like young children are taking their lives these days, or really harming themselves because people are so like mean and evil. Whereas, you know, yeah, when we were growing up, there were still people who got bullied and who were mean. But for the most part, like, at least from my experience, a lot of the people who I went to school with, or we went to school with, they weren't really, really mean to people. Usually the people that they were mean to, like, we were all friends. So it wasn't really being mean. It was just kind of like poking fun. But, like, you can kind of see, like, you know, the difference between, like, me and you, like, being rude to each other, or like me being rude to like one of the other people. Like, even, I don't know, Caitlin, for instance, she probably wouldn't have taken it the same way. And that's fine because, you know, that's just not her. But like, people are just jerks because they feel like they can do whatever they want, and there's no real guidance. Like, people don't have real mentors anymore, or they don't get to spend time with Granny during the summer because Granny's out nowadays because she's fucking like 30. Like, what the hell are you doing at the club, man? You need to watch grandkids all the time, but like, grandparents aren't even grandparents anymore. It's sad.
That's because, I mean, grandparents seem to be getting younger as it seems to be.
Yeah, but age can always be a factor, you know? Again, I'm not saying you have to act like a grandma just because you are. But like, the kids have no real guidance nowadays.
Yeah.
So the kids are following kids. And they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So that's why it's all just screwed up. So, and just honestly enjoy being a kid. Because I wanted to be grown, like, I don't know. I was so ready to be adult, right? And now that I'm here, I'm just like, man, I miss being in high school and just all you had to worry about was going to class or whether or not you guys were going to win the game that weekend. Or shit, if you had to decide whether or not you had to wear your jersey on a home game or if we dressed up. Like, that was it.
Yeah. Or, you guys, I'm going to quit on her in like 5 minutes.
There's all good bloopers.
There's going to be a lot of bloopers.
Right.
Oh my gosh. But yes, yeah, I do miss it too sometimes. I think we definitely always talked about like, yo, when we get to college, we're going to do this, and that. We didn't do anything that we said we were going to do when we got to college, by the way. Like, absolutely nothing.
No.
Like, we're going to go spring break here and do this and that. And like,
no.
I spring break in my backyard and like,
My backyard.
it's like, I don't want to be around anybody. They're like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't want to be around any of you. Like, it was just like high school whenever we had spring break, except this time in college it was only a week instead of 2 weeks. So
right.
I didn't want to be around anybody. I was like, I've been around you for 5 months. I need a break. Whatever it was when spring break came around. I don't care. I've been around you for way too long, and I just need a break from everybody. All I want to do is stay in my room and hide like a hermit until it's time to go back to school. And that's basically what I did. But I was ready to go back. I remember, like, I was just like, I'm ready to go back to high school. When is my first ticket? Y'all can take my high school diploma back, and I'll just stay there.
Right.
But, yeah, you miss those times. As you get older, kind of makes you appreciate those crazy times a little bit more.
Oh, of course. You appreciate them. And, you know, part of that actually helps you into that next journey, because in high school you start doing like the beginning stages of who you are as a person. And then after high school, you're like, okay, this is who I really am, because now I'm out here by myself. And you kind of have to, you know, pick and choose what you really want to deal with and what you don't. Mm-hmm. After you deal with all those experiences, now you're like, all right, like, I know that I would like to do this. I don't ever want to deal with stuff like that again. These are the type of people I want to surround myself with, because I know that these ones are the people who are good for me, not just a good time or people just to go out with. Because a lot of people in college, like, they were cool people, but like, they had no real goals.
Yeah.
Like, the same people who graduated or left college, and they're still not really doing anything. Like, I'm not saying I'm doing a whole lot better, but like, at least I know what my end goal is, and I'm trying to go pursue something. Some of these people, they're still doing the same things. Yeah. Still partying, still going out, still, meeting random people. And I'm like, at some point, you gotta get, it gets boring.
Yeah. Do you think us partying early had an effect on the fact of how, quickly now we are ready to figure out life?
Yes. Honestly, and I just say that just because of where we were. If I was in the States, I can understand why, a lot of kids don't do that.
Oh, yeah, definitely not. Yeah, our parents would not let us have, not let us
Yeah.
do it at all.
So definitely a whole different environment, and you can get in a lot more trouble out here. So it's not even worth it.
Yeah.
But being overseas and getting all that partying out of my system, then going to college where, yeah, I still had fun, I still partied, but I wasn't doing it as crazy because I had already done it. And then now, again, I live in Vegas and I don't even care to go out. There's something going on every weekend. I can get into the club for free because I'm a woman. I don't even want to go because I want to be in bed by 11. The club starts at 11.
Where's my heating pad?
Right, hell no. I'm ready at home, chilling, or out to eat, doing something cool, and just having a good time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like some kids who miss out on that, that's why they get so wild, because they have no self-control, or their parents might have been way too controlling over them. So now, oh, it's just me, I'm gonna go all out. And I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong with having fun, but there's limits to everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a completely different environment. But I always had fun. No matter what we did, where we were at that night, we ended up figuring it out at some point.
Right. How you know you're around good people, though?
Yeah.
The moment that you're around a bad group of people, that's when shit starts hitting the fan, and you're like, dang, is it something that I'm doing? Or is it the people that I'm with? And again, it doesn't mean bad people. It just means that they're not making the best choices. So you don't need to be around those people.
Yeah, they're not bringing anything into your life, and you can bring something into their life, but it's most likely they're going to be poisoning you along the way.
Right. Exactly.
Last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years. So I'm 26 now. I'll be 31. Wow, that's sad.
I'll be 32. Go ahead, keep going. I'm listening.
So in 5 years, I hope to be married, hopefully. Maybe even a child, because, I'm not trying to be 40 with a 5-year-old. Because that would... And honestly, I just really want to be happier and doing something related to psychology. I want to be able to wake up and go to work and be happy to go into work, because I know that I'm doing something and making a difference.
Okay, so what are you doing now to ensure that you're going to make those differences later outside of school? What are you doing now that ensures that you're going to be happy or have this foundation where even if something goes wrong, you're still okay, you still have joy, you still have happiness in your heart?
Well, I'm continuing to be positive every day and be optimistic, because, life is short. I spend more of it being overly anxious or negative, because it doesn't really get you anywhere. And then I'm actively looking for jobs in places that align with the values that I have, because I know that they're out there, and whether or not they're actually looking for people right now, they might be looking for me 3 years from now when I do have that degree. But just continuing to take opportunities and look for opportunities to grow and to keep learning, because you can never stop learning more things on how to be a better person and how to be an overall, jack of all trades kind of person, because you could always learn something new every day.
Okay, that's career-wise. What about, self-care other than just being positive?
Self-care,
Yes.
you get better of yourself. I've been going to the gym, so that's something. Everybody thinks it's about looking good, but honestly, I'm a firm believer of if you look good, you feel good. So like, if I feel good inside because I'm healthier and I'm doing what I need to do to maintain, my youth, because we're only getting older, sadly, I want to make sure I'm taking those steps. So going to the gym and just being more active, taking more adventures, because there's a lot of the places that I still haven't experienced yet in the States, and just being outside more, because I feel like we've definitely lost touch with that. Whereas, as kids, we were always outside.
Mm-hmm.
Now I feel like I never am outside unless I'm literally walking out of work to get to my car. Like, that's it. That's the only form that I am outside. And then just doing better as a person, like trying to see that I am worth it, and that, I'm everything that I can be and more. I just have to keep my mind there to keep pursuing what I want to do, and just reminding myself that life's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And if you really want something, you can and you will be able to get it, even if it's not exactly what you thought it was supposed to be.
What? Dropping nuggets.
Little nuggets. Stop. Just kidding.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry for the people who are listening right now, because I know this podcast is like in certain ways all over the place. But welcome to our friendship. Like,
I thought this was not live. No,
it's not live. But
okay.
I mean,
listen,
I am gonna cut out certain parts, but
yeah.
let's be honest. We've been all over the place this entire time. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Raquel, for being on the podcast. This has been a lot of fun, my friend, and I hope to see you soon.
I'm glad you had me on. Hopefully I'll be a future guest again, because this was fun. Maybe even down the line in your actual little studio, get it.
I hope so.
But yeah, thanks, Gina. It's always great to talk to you about life itself, and it's always good to have you in my life.
Oh my gosh, we're getting sentimental, guys. Hold on. These moments don't happen often, so go ahead.
My phone dies. No, I'm just kidding.
And just like that. No, seriously. Love you, homie, Brian. I don't know how many 50 million different nicknames that we have for each other. Happy to have you in my life as well. Couldn't imagine anybody else in my life to be the friend that you are to me. And I wouldn't replace you even if the world, man. Like, because I need you in my life always. Always going to be the SpongeBob to my Patrick, and the Patrick to my SpongeBob for life, boy. For life.
Or you put the little edit with the tear. Rolling down
I swear, people are going to think we're weird. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in for this episode. I know you got something from it, because I got something from it. Not only being a part of the interview, but just editing it over and over again. You really see that being a military brat comes with a lot of its challenges. But each and every one of us are learning how to become better people with those challenges. And so with every episode that you guys listen to, I just want to thank you for tuning in. And with every episode, I hope that you're getting something to help you go through life better. We had to go through these and kind of navigate through a harder road, but I hope with these podcasts that you can have an easier road to becoming the person that you want to be. So continue to tune in, and I will see you all next week.